Please forgive me if I make any mistakes in the pronunciation, so please forgive me if that happens. Honored Executive Vice Rector, Professor Donatella Sciuto, distinguished members of the Honorary Degree Committee, highly respected Dean Professor Dr. Ilaria Valente, distinguished Professor Emma Forino, Cassandra Cozza, Fabrizia Berlinguieri, Emilia Corradi, and other respected faculty members here. Dear students, and especially those who have worked hard to make mock-ups of zero-carbon structures. And also Dr. Elke Krasny from Vienna, who's here today with us, and I'm very grateful for that. And so distinguished signori and signori, bon pomeriggio, if I said it right, and warm greetings from Pakistan. I'm here before you truly honored and humbled to be awarded the honorary degree from such a prestigious and historic institution as the Politecnico di Milano. Its School of Architecture, Urban Planning, and Construction Engineering considered among the finest in the world. To be in the fabled and beautiful country of Italy, that I consider the cultural cradle of Western civilization, and in the midst of the amazing Milano city, the design capital of the world, is itself remarkable and the stuff of dreams. A city that is known for its path-breaking architecture. It's so well, everything is so well designed, so it's just a pleasure to walk around here and to see things. To be following great masters such as Alvar Aalto, Louis Kahn, and Kenzo Tange, and so many other distinguished architects, then to be honored by my peers, and especially those living in far-off lands, is a singular honor for a person such as myself, whose main task or main work is with the poorest of the poor. So I thank you most humbly for this rare privilege of making me part of your community. Thank you very much. My dear friends, I thank you for the warmth that I've received in interactions with the faculty and students in all these different months and weeks. Thank you, Professor Ilaria Valente, for your generous citation and your concerted efforts with the embassy, which made it possible for me to be among you physically here today. Otherwise, I thought it was impossible, that I'll be probably talking to you through Zoom or something. So it's wonderful to be here. And to Cassandra Cozza, who has spent innumerable hours in just arranging for my visit. I feel that I am in the midst of an amazingly welcoming family. And no words are enough to thank all those engaged in taking my message of zero carbon forward. My heartfelt gratitude to you all. Thank you so much. I'm not an academician. I've always been a practical worker. I've been on the site almost all my professional life. And so feel entirely humbled that you should consider me for this great honor and accept me as part of your academic family and a part of this illustrious institution. Thank you indeed. I do not consider that this honor is for the work that I have been able to carry out, but I believe it is to be a clarion call to all built environmental interventionists to take up the cause of humanity, of humanism, and of democratization of architecture, at the same time to work out ways to somehow heal the planet. I speak not for myself, but speak for those multitudes who are now facing a new world order. Their world beset with fragmentation and disruptions. It is a world ravaged by rising poverty levels and increasing disparities, depletion of the Earth's resources, and climate change impact, along with COVID-19 imperatives. In this new world order, I believe it is not possible for architects and engineers and others to continue to design only for the privileged 1% who have acquired the most wealth. You have kindly provided me with the platform to highlight many critical topics: global warming, greenhouse gas emissions, recurring disasters, climate emergencies, and consequent climate change, or change migrants, conflict-impelled refugees, the displaced and the homeless. All these challenges require innovative design solutions, which are humanistic and democratic, and are designed to contribute towards a just society. As you are aware, until 2000, as so eloquently has been presented to you, as a practicing architect, barring a few projects, I had indulged in an extravagant egotistic journey, which focused on serving the elite of my country, the so-called 1%. This meant that I utilized some of the most expensive materials that were available to me in Pakistan, carrying the most carbon footprint also, consisting of cement, steel, aluminum, reflective glass, and a score of other industrialized materials. You're also aware, as you saw, that ever since the highly destructive 7.6 Richter scale earthquake that hit Pakistan in 2005, leaving 80,000 casualties and 400,000 families displaced, literally changed the course of my life, as it must have done for many others also. And this happens when a disaster strikes anywhere. Helping communities, especially women, after recurring disasters that Pakistan faced on almost annual basis, gave me the opportunity to build in a manner that would not hurt the planet, at least. I mean, this happens so much when a disaster strikes, we go and do all kinds of things, which unthinkingly we are hurting the planet. Rather, it allowed me to develop methodologies with sustainable, locally sourced materials that would help to repair the highly frayed tapestry of the earth. You have seen my journey through a remarkable presentation by Professor Emma Fortino, which has been, so well put together. There's so many things that I'd totally forgotten about, and I see them in this presentation. So thank you for that. Based on the detailed monograph that has been authored by Cassandra Cozza, Fabrizia Berlingueri, and Emilia Corradi, and her colleagues, which provide exposure to so many of my projects, which can probably not be found even in our own archives. There's many pictures that I saw that I did not know even existed, so that's really something. I'm so grateful for the amazing research and studies that have been done by the authors. I'm going to try to start my presentation now, and let's see whether I can handle it. May I just take my hat, if you don't mind? It's a bit very unusual for me to wearing something like that, so if you don't mind. So how do I do it now? Do I just press it? Where are we? Where do I? I'm sorry, you'll have to guide me a little bit. So sorry about this. I can do here. Oh, wonderful. Oh, that's great. I don't have to use it then. Fantastic. All right. So it is Heritage Foundation of Pakistan that was co-founded, as has been explained, with my late husband, Suhail Zahir Lari, who was an eminent historian and author. He started off his life by graduating from Oxford University in England, and then became a marketing executive, executive of a big insurance company. But later on, he retired, and he became a historian and an author, and spent a lifetime in researching, for instance, the Makli necropolis. So due to which I could be engaged with humanitarian architecture, which enabled me to utilize low-carbon techniques even in heritage conservation. At the same time, my work with heritage and vernacular traditions helped me to devise strategies for the poor of the country. So on the left, you see the amazing mausoleum, the 16th century tomb of Sultan Ibrahim, that Heritage Foundation has conserved at Makli World Heritage Site, which is the largest Muslim necropolis in the world, and I invite you all to come and please see it. It's a fantastic site. It has so many monuments that present really 400 years of evolution of architecture, of building and craft and so on, of many diverse styles. On the right is the reconstructed zero-carbon earth masonry structure, one of thousands of structures that we helped build after countrywide floods in 2010. Since I come from a country that may not be fully known to you, I would like to present to you some of the features and challenges that have shaped my thought and concepts. It might help you to understand where am I coming from and why am I doing what I'm doing. In the first part, I would like to present Pakistan's rich and diverse heritage, while in the second part, I will discuss Baza, or barefoot social architecture, devised to attain social and ecological justice for the marginalized, for the poorest of the poor. So This is a diverse cultural heritage of Pakistan. As you can see on the left, Bronze Age Mohenjo-daro and Mehergarh. We go back to in 2600 BC. Hindu, Buddhist, and Gandhara and Sikh monuments of different religions, of different orientations. The Sultanate period sites, and then Mughal palaces and forts and paradisal gardens. And then, of course, there was the British colonial period, because the British ruled us for about over 150 years. And then, again, the center slide shows you the intangible heritage of my country. Sufi traditions and spiritualism, folklore, folk traditions, oral history, and diverse crafts. And the one on the right is really the vernacular heritage that is forgotten most of the time. Most people don't even talk about it. And there is so much richness there. And this is really the use of renewable materials. There's local sourcing there. There's ease of handling, economical in use, and use based on age-old wisdom, what people have been doing and learning from that. So it is an intangible heritage that's also, it shaped the life of our people. And that's all pervading. You find it everywhere. And includes Sufi tradition and so on and so forth. So it's quite extraordinary, really. And so many crafts that are there. So then, let's see now a little bit of Mohenjo-daro. I thought I couldn't resist showing you these slides, which is, again, 2600 BC. And you see the artifacts that have been found there, a bronze dancing girl and a Buddha and a priest, actually, on the right. And then, again, this is the Buddhist period in Pakistan. So it starts as Greco-Buddhist from 4th century BC to 6th century AD. And you can see monastery at Taxila World Heritage and Buddha images in Peshawar Museum in the north. And then on the right, we see the temples in Tharparkar, which is about 12th to 15th century AD. And then this is the Merkley World Heritage Site, which is about 15th century to 18th century AD. And you see the tomb of Jam Nizamuddin on the left, which is amazing devotional carving in stone. It's just quite incredible what they did. And then on the right is the 17th century tomb, which is of Munir Maghfuri, which is, it's really a brick masonry, but it's beautifully decorated with these amazing kashi or glazed tiles that we find in Sindh particularly, and also in Punjab. And then, of course, the Mughal period, you see on the left a tower of the Mughal period, and on the right is from the Lahore fort, the Jahangir Quadrangle, the paradisal garden, which again is something that the Mughals left us with this incredible kind of, planning and so on. And then the British period, as I said, it's really 19th century, early 20th century. This is all 19th century. Again, you see the Neo-Gothic, and you see the what I call the Anglo-Mughal, and it shows different periods of how British wanted to rule this country, or my country. So you see it all in architecture, and that's why that period is so important for us to save. We don't want to destroy it. We want to remember how things were done. And this is one of the efforts that we have to really push for. So I thought also I should show you this traditional sustainable architecture and urbanism in our old towns. On the right, you see the model of the walled city at Lahore Museum, and in the middle, you see the artist's rendering of how the site looks like. And again, you see multi-story buildings stacked up there. It's what I call low-rise, high density, and so on. And I began to visit really Pakistan's medieval cities as part of my unlearning phase in the 1960s after I returned to Pakistan. Accompanied by my husband, a historian and an avid photographer, these visits helped us to understand my roots, the organic morphology and stacking of these houses in our historic medieval towns. It was quite fascinating because I discovered that for the first time. I had not known about them before I went to England. And then it is, as you can see, it's really dense urbanism, high density, and so on. So if you see its organic morphology, pedestrian streets are there, low-rise, medium-density development, mixed 24-hour cycle, low or zero energy natural cooling, passive solar design. I mean, you find so many elements there that I really am beginning to use them or have used them in many ways, but now more so for what we call, the eco-urbanism that we need to now pursue for the sake of, fighting with, elements like COVID-19 and so on. So then next we'll see. This was the fascination with old towns. As you saw, the Anguri Bagh project that was shown to you, and that is all because I was able to go there. And then this is the traditional architecture of Thatta. The left is the cover of the book that I put together in the late 1979. It was actually published later, but done all the cataloging and the measurements and so on earlier, and these are the wind catchers. It's got these beautiful plastered walls, and really sometimes the decoration is quite amazing, which was done with the lime stucco. And so this is something that really influenced me, and I wanted to just show you these, how, for instance, the wind catchers work and how the air is brought into the whole building or the house, because there's no mechanical ventilation. It's all natural and without any kind of using any kind of other instruments. And again, on the right is something from Peshawar, these beautiful introverted courtyards or spaces which help to keep the building cool when they capture the night air, which is cool, and by the time it goes out, it takes some time. So just wanted to show you that there are means for us not to really use too much energy. This is possible for us to work and go back to these particular kind of examples. And then you see on the left is this amazing Shalimar Gardens. Again, the whole sea of water, basically, so much water that just cools the environment. And you can see, how it's done. It's the whole fort and the courtyard and so on and so forth. So this is just to show you what my country is about and what I've learned from what I've been able to see there. I mean, you just have such amazing sites here, of course. I'm nobody to tell you because Italy is so rich in history and everything else. But sometimes we forget that we possess this amazing treasure that as architects we could use so much of it and learn from it. So, and then the second part, of course, is my barefoot social architecture, or BAZA, for social and ecological justice. And basically, I just wanted to also show you that we've had so many disasters in Pakistan. I mean, from 2005, you can see almost every year something or the other has happened, either an earthquake or floods, or now there's urban flooding, and it's terrible what's going on with climate change. So it is something that's happening everywhere in the world. And when we construct, when we build as architects and people who are engaged with built environment, we have to be mindful of what we are doing, because that is in a way contributing, either trying to heal, as I said, or trying to make everything worse. So we carry a lot of responsibility today that did not happen when I was graduating. We were never taught these things. We never felt them. There was not that danger now, but there is today. And this is what I would like now for us to all understand this. And then now, as you can see, I mean, because of what's happening in Pakistan, that's how I'm learning to do all this. And since 2005 earthquake, I felt compelled to seek inspiration from cultural heritage and vernacular tradition in order to work out low-cost, sustainable methodologies that resonate with the aspirations of marginalized communities in my country. So for those who have, limited resources and suffer from untold deficits, we need more design and not less, which is possible only if more of us are able to direct our attention towards the other 99%. And who can understand this better than all of you living in a place where design is considered paramount? Sometimes in countries like mine, we forget how important design is. We say, okay, for the poor, we can give them anything. It doesn't matter. But it does matter. If you do something, a well-designed product always is something that improves your quality of life, always, wherever you are, whether you are the elite or you are the downtrodden. So this is something that I feel very passionately about, because we must put in the same kind of attention that we do for our rich clients that we should do for the poor also, and the ones that are disadvantaged. So for me, it had to be disposing of my inflated ego. I had a terrible, terrible ego when I was practicing as an architect. And so I've been able to now regularly interact with poverty-stricken populations. It's changed. My whole outlook has changed. So I've been able to now explore their age-old practices. And through this process, I've understood that design cannot be a standalone activity. It cannot be done just by yourself. It must be underpinned by considerations of social impact and ecological sustainability. And you must work together with others to do that. So here is a picture of the barefoot model and people walking barefoot. So because of widespread deficits and deprivations, particularly among women, for me the pursuit for justice has been paramount. I feel that through architecture, we can help people to rise above lots of prejudices and give them strength to be able to fight out whatever ills there might be in society. And the reason why I decided to design a stratagem, this was the reason, called Barefoot Social Architecture, or BASA, for the disadvantaged. I felt empathy with those who walked barefoot and had become my fellow travelers. This is why I did it. While the notion of being barefoot may be strange for many living in more affluent societies, for me, barefoot is a common sight in our rural areas in Pakistan. It demonstrates the harshness of life, but it has its own benefits. You are able to tread softly on earth and grow up using the planet's resources with care. It reminds us that all of us have to learn to use the earth's resources judiciously. And I'm not sure how many of you have done this, but sometime by the sea, if you walk barefoot on the beach, that's interesting, or even in the mornings when the dew is there and you walk on your lawn or on a green patch, it has its value, which I think could be very interesting. So while for many countries in the global south, in the face of high poverty levels, democratization of architecture and adoption of participatory approaches has become imperative. It's got to be done by countries like mine. But the industrialized world equally needs, your world too, to be conscious of the cost that has to be paid to sustain prevalent modes of living and building, which, as we know, are resulting in fast depletion of the planet's resources. On the one hand, the scenario appears chaotic and unmanageable. On the other, it opens up untold prospects to built environment professionals, that is architects, engineers, and planners, to create design alternatives for fulfilling the emergent needs of the planet as well as those living on the margins. And they are everywhere. Those people living on the margins are in every country today, rich or poor. Those who are familiar with my work know that BASA relies on 4 tenets. Let's see if I can get them. So the first is maximizing the potential of existing barefoot ecosystem, applying 3 zeros. That's zero cost to donor, zero carbon, and zero waste. Methodologies leading to, hopefully, to zero poverty, which, as you know, is one of the first goals of sustainable development, the SDGs. And then the second is focusing on social and ecological justice through humanistic architecture, fostering pride, dignity, and well-being, and preventing depletion of the planet's resources. And thirdly, delivery of unmet needs, barefoot incubator for social good and environmental sustainability that I've designed for training in self-building, co-building, and affordable products for unmet needs of BOP, which is bottom of the pyramid, that is the poorest of the poor. And then fourthly, non-engineered structures for shrinking the ecological footprint using green skills and sustainable, locally sourced materials. And let's see now, we can see the tenet number 1, which is maximizing the barefoot ecosystem, and the 3 zeros. So you can see that by following the principles on the left, you can see what the kind of structures that we built, and on the right is how we've managed to reach about 0.84 million or 840,000 people in about 5 years, which has helped them to have a slightly better quality of life. And basically also about rights-based development, something that's a right of every family, every human being. We have to see that we are able to provide that to them. And then maximizing barefoot ecosystem. As you can see, there's the barefoot economy, there's the barefoot market, barefoot enterprises, entrepreneurs, skills, and products. So in order to create a zero-carbon humanistic architecture fostering pride, dignity, and well-being, this is something that we have to think about when we are actually working with the poor. And this is something that works well because, as you must remember, in countries like mine, more than 90% are below the poverty line, more than 50%, and at least about 80% are ones that really need help from the state. This very quickly, the economy, market, enterprises, barefoot entrepreneurs, skills, and the products are there. So there's just much that can be done if we put our mind to doing that. So then, in all my work now, I follow my 2 gurus that I call them. There is, of course, Hasan Fatehi. How many of you have heard of Hasan Fatehi, I wonder? Wonderful. Oh, good, great, that's good. We need more people to get to know about him, I think, also. But he's the Earth Guru, he's my Earth Guru, and he's the one who wrote this book called Architecture for the Poor. First time somebody talked about the poor among architects. And he taught me the value of engaging them to unleash their creativity, because they also are very creative, even though they are poor. It doesn't mean that they don't have that creativity within them. They do very much so. So, and then the second one is, of course, your own, Marcus Vitruvius, who's my lime guru, okay? And, of course, from whom I've learned the use of lime, very much so, as well as the importance of air, water, earth, and fire, 4 elements, the alchemy of which leads us to democratic norms and behavior. This is what he talks about, and something that's very valuable today as well. So now, and then, so I'm an advocate of zero carbon material, so it's only earth and lime and bamboo that I use. I don't use anything else anymore in my buildings. I do not use cement, I do not use steel at all. And I think I've done enough damage when I was working in the 1980s, as you saw in the slides, in building with concrete and steel. So now I don't use them at all. And these are materials that I've used now for more than a decade to achieve carbon neutral structures. In this slide, you can see the attributes of each one. So why earth is zero carbon, renewable, recyclable, zero waste, high air quality, et cetera, et cetera. And the lime also has these amazing qualities. You don't have to use cement at all anymore, actually. Up to at least 2 or 3 stories, you can do quite well, I think, with lime. So we must try to think how we can reduce our carbon footprint. And of course, bamboo. How many of you have used bamboo now here? Anybody used bamboo in their structures? Are the students here who use bamboo? Are there any students here? Ah, fantastic. All right, great. I think we should give them a hand. I think it's wonderful that they use bamboo. They got them so. Yeah. So anyhow, so this is what I use, and I think this is fine, you know. And then now number 2 tenet, focus on social and ecological justice. So I just wanted to show you some of the work, a little bit more emphasis on again, on the right is the what I call the neo-vernacular, and the left is a picture from Sindh after the floods, and that's where I've learned a lot of things. So there's bamboo thatch roof and lime stabilized mud walls, locally sourced materials, economical construction, and this all form is based on age-old wisdom. So this is my design on the right, and I've learned from really following these rural typologies, and you can see here again one of the structures. And the amazing thing about this is the roof is thatched, and there's no waterproofing here, and the air just passes through, but there's no water that ever comes in. So there are ways that we can use these things that still exist. And then this is another one, which is improved vernacular. On the left is a building that did not collapse during the earthquake, and you see the amazing cross bracing, which is called dhiji in Pakistan, made out of wood. But our innovation was we took the same cross bracing, but now we use it in bamboo. And this is what the students here have done, and what I do now so much is to make these bamboo panels with cross bracing, which is very strong and very resilient. And as you can see, the wood is now replaced with bamboo, and it works pretty well. And then this, of course, I think you saw this, and maybe I can just run how do I run the video in this? Is it possible to do it? I'm not sure. I can't see the arrow. Sorry? I don't know. If somebody can help me with it. There's a 2-story structure. On the right is the women's center that we built in a flood area. It is the place where every year floods come. I mean, every year they get inundated. So, sorry, I think this is a video. Is it possible to run it somehow, do you think? I don't know how to do it. I'm sorry. Oh, there it is. Oh, okay. Very nice. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. At this age, I try to use technology. I'm not so good at it, okay? So you have to forgive me. So this was done by Al Jazeera, just to show how the whole thing's put together. And here, too, I think the students have been working on that and so on. So you can see how the water then doesn't reach up to the first floor. And it can easily, everybody's safe that stays on the upper level. So it's all bamboo. There's nothing else we've used. And all simple construction techniques, and it works pretty well. So, and then, all right, so now we go to tenet number 3. Delivery of unmet needs. You'll be surprised how many needs there are among the poor that we need to be catering to. So, but this can be done through sustainable, locally sourced materials and training. And so this is a zero carbon safe shelter, you can see, and then the toilet, zero waste compost style toilet. And this is our Pakistan Chula, which is got this World Habitat Award, and then you can see how it works. It's only earth and lime, and there's nothing else in it, and it's just totally zero carbon, done by every housewife herself. Something like 70,000 of these have been built, and they are really absolutely no cost to the donor whatsoever, and even the other cost is very, very low. They do it themselves, and then they decorate them, like each one is a work of art. And this is the trophy that was brought by David Ireland, who's standing on the right, and was brought to Pakistan. The one in the black jacket is our President of Pakistan, Dr. Alvi. And on the left is the lady who's our icon of Chula. Because she has earned, you would be surprised how much she's earned. She's now she's earning 25 times what she used to earn 5 years ago. And that is about 600 euros per month as compared to 25 euros that she used to get. So there's a huge potential in just marketing to the poor. And you can see how beautiful everybody just makes them, as all housewives works. And then just thought very quickly, I'll just run through. There are very simple things, simple needs of the people, and they can all be catered to with very, very low cost. And then we do a lot of training for mendicant communities also, the ones who are beggars, who are really the poorest of the poor, and we've been able to really make some headway there. 230 that we trained, out of them before COVID, 70% rose above the poverty line within about 12 months. So there's value in making these products and selling to each other rather than trying to sell to market. I mean, the market economy doesn't necessarily work for us, the capitalist market. People can just do things locally, and I think with COVID-19, we're all learning that local produce and locally being marketed always has more value now. So let's rethink of how we are actually now doing things. I just wanted to show you, there's just a few images to show how we conduct these programs, how women are working, and so on. And then this is the training center. It's called the Zero Carbon Cultural Center, ZC3, and we have a zero carbon campus where everything is done, all the training is done, and you can see it's all bamboo, and really it's quite large. It's like a hangar. The marquee, it's quite large in size, so we are able to do lots of things. This is an international conference we held in 2019, and you can see all the delegates, lots of international and very eminent local national delegates also who came, and you can see they can all be accommodated here. And basically it's the same hall as I showed you, and it's large enough for all kinds of other activities. And then because I believe in everybody to somehow equalize everything. So here are these fantastic experts who are well known all over the world, and they are coming and now learning from our artisans, the poor. So that was very satisfying, I can tell you that. And these are lots of videos, Zero Carbon YouTube channel that we have. It's something like 24 of them, which are basically to say you can build your own house, and people are building their own houses now. This is like step-by-step instruction as to how you can do it, how do you mix lime, how do you put it together, and so on. So now we go to tenet 4. This is the last tenet, and these are non-engineered structures for shrinking the ecological footprint, right? So just to tell you very quickly what's happening with the building industry, there's 40% of world energy being used, 16% of world water usage, and 3 billion tons of raw material, etc., etc. This is the damage, and steel is 1600 to 1800 Celsius, and you can see how carbon emissions are with Portland cement and so on. So just to tell you that, or show you what the research shows. And for instance, an example of an international model of a house after the 2010 floods. If there were 100,000 rooms that were built of this kind, we would have lost, as you can see, something like 50,770 acres of forest. So this is the damage that is caused by just simply making the burnt brick, if nothing else. And then this is ours. This is 40,000 shelters were built between 2012 and 14 with IOM. And this is the world's largest zero carbon footprint shelter program. No carbon emissions, no trees were felled, 750 villages were covered, 300,000 persons were housed. And you can see it's only clay, lime, and bamboo. And everybody tests the house. Once they put the bamboo roof, first nobody believed it could work, and now we say, fine, climb. And so 15 people climb up the roof, and they know that it's safe. So it's now quite accepted pretty well now in Pakistan that bamboo is okay. And then this is how they decorate them so beautifully. This is women and their handiwork. And because it's clay, they're used to it, so they do it. If it was cement or concrete, they would never be able to do all this. So we must understand the value of using certain kinds of materials and how important it is that we relate to the context. We don't just impose something that is not acceptable to them. One of the things that I've learned in my life, actually, how to manage. So this is the log, which is the prefabricated bamboo panel. Just wanted to show it to you to see how this works. It's very simple, and the cross bracing does it very, very well. It makes it really strong and sturdy. And you put 8 of them together, and that's my log, the Lari octogreen, and we just put a thatch or any kind of roof over it, any covering. The same is true for the panels also. You add 2 more, you make it 10, and you can make it into a classroom, a good-sized classroom. I've only got the imperial size is 12 by 18. Or if you add another 4, then you make another room with a domical roof, because now we make domes with bamboo. And this becomes like a village center or something. And you can have verandas, again, made out of, and then you add 3 more, and you make it into something called the Interbau Center that we built in Makli. So then, I'm sorry, this somehow my slide has acted funny, so please ignore on the left, on the top. But this is like cottages for overnight stay at the campus, where our guests have come and stayed overnight. This is a view of at night, as it's very close to Makli, so it's quite nice, that whole area. And then this is the Interbau Center that is dedicated to the Prince of Wales of England, because he had been very kind and he's contributed to this particular cause. So you can see it's all very simple, thatch and bamboo, and that's it, and very simply done, very quickly also. And then I thought I'd just show you, this is the latest we are doing, incremental urban housing, because everybody said you're doing it in rural areas, can't be done in urban areas. So we thought we'll take the challenge. And I think UN Habitat will probably be working on this, because they're taking up the informal settlements. More than 50% of Karachi actually is informal settlements, I might just tell you. That is the magnitude of the problem that we have in countries like mine. And so this is just a view to say how we start with 1 room and a toilet, basically, and then you add on, and you can have a 3-story house. This is also done with those prefabricated panels. And I thought that this is something that you will, probably enjoy. Now we've started these training programs, 3-day for artisans, and just wanted to very quickly show you how that works. There are people coming in from, women are coming in, and they're working on this. And these are really poor women. They are not even literate, and they're learning how to now work in bamboo. And so this is something that I'm very pleased about, because that means they're going back and they're able to build themselves, which is what I would like to do, because I don't believe any kind of aid or money that comes in or governments can actually reach the poorest of the poor. We've got to empower them. We've got to get them the tools. We've got to get them to be able to do it themselves. Only then it will happen. And the same may be the approach that you need for homeless people in countries like in Europe and in America as well. So there we are. And then, sorry. And then I just thought I'll just show you. These are the people who get trained. On the left, you can see they go and they make these panels, and they are now putting up. And on the right is from Malawi. It's an orphanage that's being built by a French architect, actually, who decided to help them there. And then this is two logs are put together in Islamabad. Something like 75 architects and students have taken part in this, and they built this in Islamabad, which is quite surprising, because it's the first time that architects actually came and took part in this, and so I'm very pleased about that. And then I want to show you your very own, the students who are here, what they've done. Okay, this is the log hologram by students in Politecnico di Milano. We're working on this, and you can see how well they've done it, actually, and I'm just so, I can't tell you how pleased I am with the whole thing for the last several weeks, and I think it's going to be on display from tomorrow, so I hope all of you will come and see it, because it's amazing what they've done. They're very beautifully done, these. And so here I'm really, for several weeks the students have worked hard, and with much dedication on building wonderful scale models in bamboo. They're replicas of log or Lari octagreen. So I'm most grateful to all of you. Are they here today? Are the students here today? Any of them? Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. And also to Labora and the coordinators there who've been helping them, and all the faculty members who participated and encouraged them to do it. So it is, I believe, yourselves who will champion this cause and take it forward. I think, this is it. You'll see it tomorrow, huh? This is how it's going to be displayed, which is wonderful. And so I think this is something that you will, I think, will take forward. And so let us begin the zero carbon movement to save humanity and our future generations. Make all possible effort to spread in all parts of the world, for it is lowering the carbon footprint in construction that will make a significant difference to fulfill the requirements of the Paris Agreement to keep carbon emissions within 1.5 degrees Celsius. So I would like to appeal to you that together we must develop a framework for a change direction in architecture. We need to do away with the prevalent colonial mindset and the desire to create imposing megastructures which have traditionally been commissioned by the likes of the Medicis of Florence, much though I love them for their patronage to arts and artists, and you might sort of disagree with me, but I believe the time of that is probably no longer there. And the robber barons of East India Company, the merchant princes of the Industrial Revolution, and present-day exploitative multinationals that promote high carbon methodologies and high consumptive modes of living. We have to see that we do not anymore just look to them for commissions. I want us to reset concepts to deal with the new normal, to fashion an adequate and equitable world by demonstrating architecture, promoting community participation, co-building and co-creation, in order to help stitch the frayed tapestry of the earth, to take the lead in the use of sustainable, locally sourced materials, to incorporate attributes drawn from tradition and heritage, and pursue carbon-neutral circular economy principles that would provide both social and ecological justice through design. I would like to use a new activism among architects for the adoption of innovative approaches such as degrowth and transition design that are taking root now in the West, as well as bazaar or barefoot social architecture for the empowerment of those living on the fringes, thus ensuring the well-being of humankind as well as our planet. In conclusion, please let me say that after being here and seeing your enthusiasm, how optimistic I feel for the future direction of architecture, urbanism and engineering, to create a humanistic, inclusive environment that is driven by ecological considerations and responds to the needs of the majority, the vulnerable masses who have been largely ignored by designers, but who can no longer be overlooked in a global village where COVID-19 has blurred distinctions and equalized humanity. So I would like to invite you all to come to Pakistan to attend workshops at Zero Carbon Campus and Makli World Heritage. And I also request Executive Vice Rector Professor Donatello Sciutto and Dean Ilaria Valenti that I will be at your disposal to work out a long-term relationship to further this cause. I thank you so much, and thank you for patient hearing. Thank you.